Welcome to my next Stranger Things Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you are caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Stranger Things, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, fine. If you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers, and come back to this channel for episode review videos of Season 5 of Stranger Things whenever we get that, late October, November. And I'm sure once it does finally come out, they'll have a couple breaks, at least a break or two, to extend it so people have to pay for Netflix more if they don't already pay for it. So, with all that said, this will be Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 2. The title of this episode is called Vecna's Curse, and this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. Hopper survives the Keys explosion by jumping to a lower platform of the Starcourt base, but is captured by Soviet soldiers and sent to a prison camp in Kamchatka. Max awakens and takes another Tylenol as the police arrive to investigate Wayne Munson's report of Chrissy Cunningham's mutilated corpse in his and nephew's trailer. Max catches a glimpse of her body before being ordered away by the officers, while government workers listen to Chief Powell's call reporting the body. Mike and Eleven joyfully reunite while the former notices Will concealed painting, which Will refuses to show. Mike brings her flowers, which Eleven notices are signed from Mike instead of her signature of love, to her slight disappointment. As Eleven walks and plans out the day with Mike, she references Angela as her friend, much to Will's confusion. They unknowingly pass by Murray, who has come to California to speak with Joyce. Robin excitedly recounts her interaction with Vicky to Steve at their job at Family Video. A report about Chrissy's death comes on the TV. Her name not said. Hungover after a night of partying, is now in the abandoned Benny's Burgers. Lucas vomits in a toilet while Jason Carver reassures him. He watches the report about Chrissy's death on TV with his teammates, unaware that it's she is the one being reported on, though, at this time. And then police arrive outside. Nancy and her peers at a second newspaper watch the report as she invites Fred to go along with her to investigate after Barbara's name is mentioned. As Christie's body is taken away, the reporter muses that the once safe Hawkins has now been plagued by one tragedy after another and wonders if it can be saved. Dustin watches the report with his mother. Max comes to his house to inform him that the body was Chrissy and that she saw her with Eddie, who has seemingly vanished. Dustin is adamant that Eddie would never hurt anyone, but Max is skeptical about this. She admits that she hasn't gone to the police with the account of seeing Eddie because the lights in her trailer went haywire when Chrissy was killed, and she saw Eddie flee the scene in terror. Dustin realizes that they need to find Eddie to get his account. Murray reads the note Joyce received, where it requests that she call a number to make reservation and not involve the government. It is signed by Enzo, which Joyce has concluded is code, Enzo's being the name of the restaurant Hopper asked her to a date at. Murray is adamant that Hopper is dead, and even if he was alive and in Russia, it would be more likely that the Russians tortured information out of him and faked a ransom note in hopes of luring Joyce and Murray to them. Refusing to write Hopper off as dead, Joyce convinces Murray to let her call the number on the encrypted signal. In 1985, Hopper is met by Russian guards in the burning lab. They imprison and beat him to try to get Joyce's name, having a security picture of her, but he refuses to give her up, even when they torture him by suffocation. Mike, Eleven, and Will go to a roller rink where she continues to pretend she has a good social life. Will privately asks her why she keeps lying to Mike, which Eleven tries to ignore. Mike and Eleven skate together while Will, visibly dejected, skates behind them. Angela, angry with Eleven for inadvertently getting her in trouble, arrives and formulates a plan where she sees her and Mike. As the basketball team waits for the police to interview them individually, Lucas, his teammates, Patrick, or his teammate Patrick, assures him that it's probably over nothing. Powell and Callahan interview Jason over Chrissy's whereabouts the previous night and if she ever interacted with Eddie. Jason realizes that the dead student being reported on the news is Chrissy and leaves Benny's ignoring his teammates and briefly breaking down in the woods. Max and Dustin go to Family Video and get behind the counter, much to Steve and Robin's protest, so they can comb the store's records and find the contact information of Eddie's friends. While Dustin searches, Max explains what she saw to them. Nancy and Fred drive to Eddie's trailer park where she pretends to be visiting Max to try to get past a police officer. The police officer suddenly becomes aggressive towards Fred, reminding him of an incident that the previous year, which he got into a car crash that killed a peer and did not call the police, causing the scars on Fred's face. As the officer's face begins to distort, he accuses Fred of being a murderer, and his scar reopens and starts to bleed. The real officer snags him out of it, revealing it to be a hallucination, and Nancy convinces him to let them through. Jonathan and Argyle discuss the former woes not being able to see Nancy. Jonathan reveals that he did not apply to Emerson like he and Nancy planned, unwilling to leave his family behind, but also unwilling to tell her, not wanting her to risk her own dreams to be with him. Angela approaches 11 and plays into the idea that they were friends, taking her out on the rink. Will notices one of Angela's friends filming them and realizes something is happening, informing Mike of 11's lying. The ring DJ changes the song, dedicating it to all the local snitch, and Angela's friends circle 11, taunting her. As Mike tries to stop the DJ, the song climaxes, and Angela's friends one of Angela's friends throws a milkshake on 11, making her fall over. She flees the rink in tears. Murray recounts Joyce's call to another estate, warning her to make the call quick and demand proof that Hopper is alive. The call goes to a Russian phone booth where Enzo, who demands she bring $40,000 to Yuri's Fish and Fry in Nome, Alaska in 2 days if she wants to trade Hopper for money. She demands to speak to Hopper, but Enzo states that Hopper is stuck while a woman outside yells at him in Russian. He hangs up, leaving Joyce and Murray to wonder what just happened, unable to get any information out of Hopper. The Russians send him to the Kamchatka prison camp, where he has been for 9 months. They shave his head and face and warn him that he will be killed if he tries to escape. Lieutenant Colonel Jack Sullivan arrives in Indiana to look at Chrissy's mangled body, while Jason rallies the basketball team against Eddie and the Hellfire Club. Lucas insists that the Hellfire is just a Dungeons and Dragons club, passing off his knowledge as his sister being a part of it when asked, but Jason insists that Eddie is insane and they need to avenge Chrissy's death and burns a Hellfire poster while Lucas looks on nervously. Robin, Dustin, Max call around for Eddie's whereabouts, Max discovering he buys his drugs from a man named Reefer Rick. Steve suggests going to the police to find Rick's identity while also telling them Max's story. As he and Dustin argue, Robin realizes they can put Rick's name into the store system and hopefully pick him out by his movie taste. They discover a Rick Lipton. He's checked out several Cheech and Chong movies and finds his address is out by the lake in the middle of nowhere. The group leaves to go investigate. Having no luck with Eddie's neighbors, Nancy goes directly to Wayne, asking that she speak to him directly and promising not to twist his words. He insists that Eddie could not have hurt anybody, but he remembers a series of murders when he was a child done by a man named Victor Creel, who killed his own family in a manner that left them identical to Chrissy. Creel had been institutionalized since, but Wayne hypothesizes thinks that he may have broken out. As he talks, Fred is lured into the woods by a sound of a grandfather clock. Finding it in a clearing just as Nancy realizes he is gone, Fred sees a family in the funeral attire standing before him whose faces and hands distort, accusing him again of being a murderer. He flees deeper into the woods. Re-listening to the recorded call, Joyce notices the woman shouting in the background and replays it over Jonathan's speaker system so Murray can hear it better. He realizes the woman is using Russian slang to call Enzo and angry word for cop, and then realizes that Enzo is a prison guard. Joyce leaves to withdraw the money from Hopper's trust fund for 11. As Mike searches for 11, he accuses Will of being a bad friend by not telling him of her situation, only for Will to point out that Mike has forced him to third wheel all day, which he hates, because Will loves Mike. Yeah, he does. Mike brushes him off, and Will points out that Mike seems mad at him, having not called him at all, and pointing out that they used to be best friends, which Mike, again, deflects. Like, we're friends, but we used to be best friends. 11, hiding in an employee's-only closet, overhears Angela laughing at her. She emerges and confronts her, only for Angela to taunt her about Hopper, prompting an enraged 11 to strike her in the face with a skate. The hit cuts her face between her eyebrows, and the scene attracts the attention of the entire rink as Angela cries in distress and pain. A shocked Mike asks her, "What did you do?" prompting a repressed flashback of Brenner and the corpses of the dead test subjects. Arriving at Rick's cabin, the group finds the house locked, but Max notices a light on in the boathouse. Waiting inside, Eddie attacks Steve, but Dustin convinces him to let him go and tell him about what he saw. After he starts to tell them, he expresses worry that they will not believe him about Chrissy, about how she died. So Dustin reluctantly reveals to him the existence of the Upside Down. So that'll further complicate things. As Nancy informs the police of Fred's disappearance, she stumbles out onto the road where he got into the accident, seeing a vision of a flaming wreckage and the victim crawling toward him, begging for help. Fred stumbles backwards into a grave where the victim's corpse is waiting, covered in black widow spiders. As Eddie describes Chrissy's death, the figure that killed her stalks toward Fred and asks him to join me. In the real world, he starts to rise into the air as Dustin describes Chrissy's trance as Vecna's curse. And the figure touches Fred, causing his bones to break and his eyes to explode in the same manner as Christy. Vecna awakens in the room in the Upside Down, suspended in the air by tendrils and lowering himself to the ground. He is revealed to be in a large house where dozens of bat-like creatures swarm around outside. And that's what ends this episode of Stranger Things. So, pretty good episode. I'll score it an 8.2 out of 10. My characters of the episode are going to be Dustin and Nancy. Other people did really good too, like Eddie. I don't want to give everybody the character of the episode, but it really is an ensemble cast, and they all do really good. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Stranger Things and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are regarding this episode of Stranger Things. What would you rate it? Who would be your character of the episode or characters? Anything else that you want to add? Make sure you come back to this channel for Season 5 reviews of Stranger Things whenever that finally decides to come out, which I'm guessing we'll hear about very soon here toward the end of May. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goals high. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.